Hello and welcome. My name is Christopher, and I have owned an exterior cleaning company called Diamonds Dazzle Cleaning for the last 7 years. And I want to teach you how you can maintain your property so you don't have to pay me as often. So, I have seen homes be cleaned yearly. I've seen them cleaned every 2 years, every three, four, you name it. Okay. Repeat business in the industry has allowed me to see like the growth over years. Your house looks amazing, and we want it to stay that way. So we're gonna jump straight away into why I think that spring is the best time to clean your house, followed by kind of cleaning schedules. People ask me about things like that. How often do I clean? Tips and maintenance, and we will even throw in a little bit about how much it might cost if you paid somebody to do this things for you. So when the alarm goes off, you get up and you wake your bed, and it's a signal that to the day that you are ready to go and to be the best. This is going to be the rest of many best strategic efforts made through the day. So when you start your year out by making everything around your home fresh for the year, it has a lasting psychological effect, right? So they don't call it spring cleaning for no reason. So you will also get to enjoy the benefit the longest, because in the spring, summer, and fall, you're enjoying your patio, or you're driving in and you get to see your house and what it looks like, nice and clean. So cleaning in the spring also removes all the growth from the previous year. Yes, you can rinse your home off throughout the year, just hose it down, remove the bugs and things of that nature. But the mildew, we're talking about like the mildew that grows on there and accumulates and eventually turns green sometimes. When those things start to form, that's algae, and even mold will start to inhabit surfaces and embed themselves into the face of the building. It is really important to combine this issue or combat this issue before it starts, and leaves irreversible damage to the house. So that's what you really don't want. You don't want to come in like 3 years later and notice it, and then all of a sudden there's divots inside of your gutters or on the fascia, or you just can't get it off of the vinyl. We're talking about months, weeks, years. So I'm sure you've seen a house that has turned green, along a side or a few spots. Maybe you've seen a rooftop turn black or green with growth. Another house seems so crisp and sharp decades later. They're older, but they still look great. It's not an accident. So if you go on a routine schedule, like maybe every 3 or 4 years, you're removing anything that could begin forming for long-term damage growth. So something small starts when you let it sit there for 10 years or so, 7, 10 years go by, you've lived there and you had never even touched it, never just kind of just did a routine cleaning with some soap on there. Then all of a sudden you get a little piece of sand size growth that turns into the size of a quarter, in a few years. And then I show up, I'm like, dang, it's a lot of work to clean that stuff off. So then, anyways, you can also notice on houses after a while, you'll notice things like growth along the vents. You can get a little bit of black stuff that's growing along the edges of the vents. A little bit of soap is going to remove that so it doesn't sit there for a long time. That kind of can look unsightly after 3-4 years. You never cleaned it off, You don't have to do it every year if you don't want to, but if you did it every year, you wouldn't have to look at it, So, and the last reason to clean up in the spring will be, you'll be the first on your service provider's list. If you call me with Diamond Dazzle Cleaning in February, we are scheduled out our first week that we start up. We've got a lot of bids out for clients to look at, and we're going to be letting our first clients reach in and grab their spots. If you call towards April, you might be pushed out even weeks on beyond that. So it just depends on how fast you want to get on the schedule. So if you call in early in the year, you might find somebody that's super eager to do the job, and he can get you in right away, and he's going to give you the best price. Do some research, who you hire, ask proper questions, look at reviews, stuff like that. So it may be for a couple weeks out, and then there's dozens of people that will not get attention, if we're super busy. If we start filling up into the, July and August, and we're scheduled out into September and October, that's just how, we might be at our capacity for the year. And sometimes you get that, sometimes you don't. Just all depends on who you're calling and who you want to do and do the work. But we want to grow. We're going to be implementing strategies to make sure that we can have more people come on board without sacrificing quality of work. So let's dive into some routines and tips for you to use, at your own house. So you see that it's starting to get dirty, but you aren't that worried immediately. By year 3 of owning the place or so, you start noticing a little bit of darker areas where the dirt and grime is kind of like accumulated in the corners, maybe underneath the deck or something like that, your patio stuff. Whether you're an investor or a homeowner, it's a good idea to maintain your home exterior, or it can just take damage over time. It's like a car, you can get rust. It takes element damage. If you clean it off, it's a lot better for your car. So speaking of cars, you wash your car, and that's a good investment. You spend less money on your car and you wash it more frequently. So, and I'm not saying you have to wash your house every week. So there's kind of like 3 levels of soiling that the house can endure. So you have to determine what you want to live with, basically. What level do you want to stop or start cleaning, or how soon do you want to start paying for these services? But you can take care of the basic stuff on your own, like this. Basic dust, you just take a hose, hook up an adapter for a spray nozzle, and you rinse it down like that. If it's a 1-story with a gable end on the end, just get a little step ladder and you can spray up into those corners, and maybe you get a little bit of an extendable pole that goes 12 feet long, and you put a brush on the end of it. And that's easy peasy. You could brush it down with soap then, and you're putting a little bit of your own sweat in there, and you're saving yourself $400 or $500, and that's important. And you only invested maybe $40 to buy a retractable pole, a step ladder, and a couple gallons worth of soap. Think about that. So there's things that can grow, like organic materials like bug dropping, spider webs, and algae growth. Lastly, there are things like stains, which may require kind of a professional to do it. Minimum, you're going to have to do some research on those areas and see what kind of what kind of chemicals that you might need, and you would do a test spot in like a small area that you don't see, just in case it doesn't react how you want it to. So for small dust things, you can easily walk around 1-story houses, rinse it off the dust with little elbow grease, and you're going to remove any sort of mud, tree sap, etc. You're going to scrub that stuff off. Organic growth can be taken off with just a little bit of a bleach solution. Get a pump up sprayer, and you can just soak the house with it. It'd take you a few hours to do it. You could do it once a year, and you save yourself $400. It is important to coat the entire face of the wall that you're doing. So it'd be like bleaching a half of a t-shirt. You would notice the line. So we're not bleaching the substrate of the vinyl, but we're cleaning it so deep that it's so much cleaner. So there'll be a black and white difference, So you want to clean it, the whole face. So, and then you can also do things. Sorry about that, fellas. Ladies. Lastly, you can do things for your gutters by brushing on a light degreaser. And there's several different grades. If you're going to go into rust removal, I would definitely get something that is higher grade, like a commercial grade. But something for like gutter cleaning, you can get like this retractable pole with a brush on the end of it, and you can spray it or put on your gutter or your brush the gutters off with a $4.99 degreaser. Again, do your homework. You can reach out to me and I can help answer questions like that. But do some research on what chemicals you need, but you can do that for your own house if you don't want to pay me to do it. But I'll be happy to do it too. So we're talking about gutter shining, removing the brushing, like the oxidization from your home. That can go away with some elbow grease. And these companies are going to offer you this, and they're going to charge you a couple $100 just to do your gutters. So again, if you're able to, do this stuff yourself. Again, that's why we're here. We want to learn about this stuff. We want to learn when we want to clean it. I already said kind of in the spring, because if you're going to pay somebody to do it or you're going to do it yourself, you might as well put that work in at the beginning of the year, enjoy all of the benefits of it all year long. And then when you're winter and you're inside, then it can get dirty again. You come outside, you touch up the areas that need touched up. And either do that yourself, or if it gets really bad over 3-4 years, we'll come back. Or you maybe invest into the equipment, whatever you want to do. We are always going to be here for your maintenance needs. And just because we are sharing how to do this, it doesn't mean you can't call us. However, maybe after a couple years, the place looked great, except for one small 4-foot spot. It doesn't get much sun, and when it rains, it splashes a little dirt on there. If you go out there and you get yourself one of those little pump-up sprayers from your local hardware store, boy, I'm talking, $13.99. You can buy a regular bleach and spray it on there to kill those green, like a green patch. You see like a green patch that's grown, you spray it on there and later it's gone. Come back and rinse it off. And it won't be, you want to do the whole thing, the whole wall, and maybe you just do that one wall and you don't have to worry about the rest of the walls, and then you just have us do, the rest of it 3-4 years later, but you saved yourself, you spent 30 minutes on the time with some equipment that you bought, and you saved us from having to come back there, for a while. And so, what do I believe is the ideal amount of time to wait between cleanings? So I'll give you a couple examples of what I see here. So when we're talking about waiting 1 year in between large accounts, we're talking about removing spider webs from lake properties, dirt, dust, and maybe light green growth in very trouble areas. So just like maybe behind a bush, maybe like right tucked in a corner, there's just like a little section, but the rest of it is just kind of residual growth of dirt and grime and stuff from being outside, with it's an open area, usually fields, and then they're 36 units at a time, you're cleaning stuff like that. So if you wait 2 years, it's going to be more pronounced, right? Those areas of growth are going to have compounded. You're going to have like maybe 2-3 foot sections, 4-foot sections. You're going to have really growth areas, around certain vents. You might have accumulated way more dirt than others. What else? You might start to see more of the darkening in the areas around soffit and edges, around gutter lines, because the soap hasn't been able to get in there and really clean those things. And then you'll have layers of spider webs. And when you start going 3 or more years, it starts to get a lot worse. The green will clean off well. You get the soap on there, the green will go away. But if you've neglected it for 7, 15 plus years, you're gonna start seeing divots where things have grown into gutters. Not all the time, but I've seen some pretty bad stuff, and maybe that's even like 20 and 30 year growth, but it could have been prevented, with a little bit of work. So think about the car, you wash your car, and it still might rust, right? You hit a big enough stone, it's gonna rust, but at the same time, if you do your best to, get it through the car wash once a week in the winter time or a couple times a week, you're not gonna get as much rust. So same thing with your house. So how do I personally feel about cleaning schedules? I have my equipment. I can easily breeze through my house and do the work. So it's not really about me. I'm talking about what you guys can do. So I like to go for like a once a year deep clean. I like to walk around on my deck, so I think about cleaning all the stuff off my deck, spray like a cleaning solution, like with a little bit of bleach in there, put my stuff on my door handles, all of the windows, all of the house itself gets that deep clean. And then those areas throughout the year, I'm just coming through with the hose, and I'll rinse off my deck, once every couple weeks if it needs it, and I'll hit it with a blower, a DeWalt a battery powered blower, just to clean off the deck, just to maintain it. That doesn't need another power washing every year round, but I just, that my house right here, if I were to do it for somebody, would probably be around $500. If I did the deck too, maybe $600, $575, depend on the day, how kind my client was to me, and all those kind of things. So that being said, you may need a little bit more maintenance than I do, or you may not need as much at all. Your house might not get anything growth on there at all. You may not have a deck that you use. You might get tons of sun. So I got a lot of trees where I live, so there's more debris on our deck. So I tell my clients and future customers, it will depend on the the amount of their growth or dirt or whatever they're willing to tolerate, and what they want to do to maintain it themselves. So if I didn't have any equipment and had to pay someone, $400 or $600 every time they came to my house, man, I wouldn't want to do it all the time. I would want to make sure that the problem areas were addressed, that I could maybe do those things by myself, save a little bit of money because I'm price sensitive, right? And then when it gets real bad, like I'll have somebody come in and take care of that, on a schedule every 3-4 years. Or maybe if there's we get a bunch of tree sap on there one year, he comes in special, for me. Or we're getting ready to have a wedding at our house or something like that. So, and you might be wondering, like, how much do I pay a contractor? If you're going to hire somebody, say you're not in Michigan, you're not calling me directly, I haven't built the trust with you yet. How do you build trust with another contractor? So, you just ask them, like, what are you going to do? How do they treat you on the phone? Do they have time? Or are they so rushed that they can't even explain to you what they're going to do at your house? Do they have a price? Do they pull it out of thin air? Or are they telling you what they're doing in order to map it out? Are they going by time? Map their level of expertise, all of those things, and how you feel about them. Read their reviews. So that's just from my head, kind of unscripted here. So what do you want to pay them? So every market is going to be a little different, but in Michigan market, I'm at the minimum of $400, right? I need to come out to a house, and I don't want to do just one side of a house. It doesn't make much sense for me to pull up with my gas prices the way they are, and the next person that's willing to have me do the whole house, So I want to come over and do the whole house, at least enough to meet that $400 price minimum. So now that home might be a small ranch, right? So we get the whole house done and a small deck, and it just fits in there at that $400 price point, So I think that it's a very conservative price for a professional. I've seen people go lower, and that you might not know the quality of work you're going to get when you start going that low, because how do they make any money at all? So my friends in the industry charge much more for this similar scopes of work because their overhead is different, their prices and everything else are much different as well. Like, I'm a small business, it's just me and a couple guys sometimes, and he's got teams. So if you're starting to get into these bigger houses, 3,400 square foot above grade, or even with basements, stuff like that, you're $600, $900 even, I've seen people be quoted $1,800 even for small houses from competing companies of mine. I'm just like, dang, I'd charge like $400 to do that. Somebody else is going to charge $1,800. So, and I see this kind of stuff all the time. It just depends on who's the person, what's their motives, what's their skills. Like, do they only have time to do one every couple days, so they need to make maximum money? I don't know what their system is. Me, I do a lot of the work, and I charge a fair price, so I get a lot of work, and that's just kind of what it is. So a lot of people fall off too. They're looking for even cheaper. So this is what it is. So you don't want half the house clean, and you don't want by somebody who just learned how to sell, and they're gonna charge you a top dollar and then do half the work. So you want somebody maybe that's like me, who's learned what to do but hasn't even jacked his price up. Like, it took us a long time to raise our prices up. We've had the same prices for like 4 years. So your house might be really nicely places that don't need cleaning at all. It might just look really nice and just need a couple spots clean. And you might feel that this way, but the basic cleaning will take it a long way. You never cleaned it for years and it looks nice, but 6-7 years in, that cleaning is going to do a lot for you. So. And you might just want to clean it up right before you sell the place, That's going to bring a lot of curb appeal. Like, you don't notice it, but as soon as you clean it, whether you want to enjoy it yourself or you're just going to do it for the next person, it'll boost it. You hit it with soap, brightens it up. So whether you hire me or not, you can learn from calling different businesses and learn how they each will serve your needs differently. If you need our help in Michigan, reach out to Diamond Dazzle Cleaning. So then if you're in another state, what I would recommend doing is calling a couple businesses, see what the process is that they're going to use, how much they're going to charge you for each process. Are they going to come and meet you? Which ones do you feel the safest with, where the reviews meet your expectations as well, and then make your decision based on there. And in the meantime, follow some of these tips and tricks in order to keep your house clean in between scheduled maintenance.